double dipping lives here. We're doing Kathleen Arthur's live, where we are at the Senate. We have this incredible food here. We feed I will say, us taxpayers feed our senators very well, because this buffet was incredible. Of course, we had to pay for it, and I'm sure they pay for it as well. But so I'm going to tag a few people here. Y'all just give me a second. I know Kathleen's phone is about to die, but it is Monday. As you've heard, people are already tromping and talking to people and getting out there, and it's so important. And I'm going to just tell you, I want more people to come to DC. All right, so let's just talk about a DC trip for a minute. Here's some things that you need to do. Number one, you need to download. Somebody tell me I got food on my nail. Thank goodness.
It's live.
Yeah, so sorry about that. So the first thing you need to do is download Uber on your phone, all right?
Yes, totally, or you'll be joking.
True confession here, I never had Uber on my phone until my first trip to DC. And Kathleen Arthur said, we'll just Uber there. And I'm like,
No way.
I'm like, dang, girl. I do not have it.
Uber driver. What was wrong with me?
Yeah, or Lyft, Uber or Lyft, because pretty much now they're all synonymous. So you need to download that. The second thing is you need really good walking shoes. Third is,
should I show you mine?
Yes.
I brought flip-flops.
Do not hint to
No,
the
look.
wives. Do not
No,
come
no,
in
no,
here in heels.
So you're going to invest in this little book right here. You see this little book right here? $15. And this is like a little Bible, a little who's who, state and federal. All right. It also has, this is so important if you want to know where you're going and who you're talking to and when to be there. There's a legislative calendar in here, so you can tell when they're going to be here and when they're not going to be here. So the orange is like when there's nobody here. So you may or may not have legislative aides here, which is probably who you're going to talk to most of all anyway. The second thing one of the things we've just worked on here a few minutes ago is, and you all should do this, is you should go to congress.gov. Go to congress.gov. Set yourself up an account. Now that we have a particular bill, we want to watch what's going on. We want to read the amendments. Set up your account on congress.gov, and then you're going to search for S1376. And then when you find that bill, you want to save your search, and you want to make sure always when you're tracking bills that you put the year in your save. So because you're going to find, unfortunately, year after year after year, if you don't put the year in it, you're going to forget what year you were tracking that bill, because there will be something different all the time. So when you save it, you get to put the title in there, and so you just name it whatever, but put 2019 in there so you can track it. And you can track, and you can get alerts. So you want to get alerts. So this is a bill. We pulled it up and we sat and we looked at it for a while. It was just introduced in May by an Ohio senator, I believe. And it is currently in the Senate Finance Committee. So the next thing that we did, and I'm still working on this, is I went through online. I got the Senate Finance Committee, and then I looked up everybody in this book, and I started making us a list. So I've got this list of the Democrat, which is considered the minorities in the Senate Finance Committee, and then the Republicans. And I am now taking that list, and I'm putting it, I'm organizing it by which building they're in, because there are 3 Senate buildings. And so I'm going to break this list up so that we can go by and say hello and let people know who we are. Okay, y'all? Is that all right?
Right.
Okay, so that's what I'm working on now for the people we have that we have here. Let me just tell you a few other things about the DC trip, because a lot of people go like, oh my gosh, I could never go to DC. I'm afraid of cities or whatever. We have kind of traveled in groups, and I don't know if all of you saw last night the pods that we slept in, but we did stay at a hostel. A lot of people come up here, they stay in a hostel. That's the most economic way to stay. You can find them online. We stayed in one last night that had 6 pods in it, so it's not the Hilton and it's not Trump Tower, but it is an interesting experience, and we got to do a lot of really good fellowshipping, getting to know each other, kind of finding out what our strengths and weaknesses are. So that's so it's possible, okay? And every year I've met new people. I met Wendy face to face the first time this year. Melina I had met before, and her kids. Kathleen, of course, I met the first time I came up here. Whitney, I've known a while. I met Jamie through Family Forward. So, so now we have 3 lives going. So you're going to meet people, and you're going to look at how your government operates, and that is so important. You need to see what's going on, and they need to hear from you. So I brought with me a few of these books, and this afternoon we're going to distribute a couple of these books. And you all know how hard I've worked on this. It is 311 pages.
Wow.
About 200 plus pages are stories, and I marked the state at the top of each corner. I still don't have quite every state. I know you all saw the list that I had posted about 3 weeks ago. I wasn't able to update that list. I did get some states that were missing, such as Washington, I know for sure, and I think Louisiana, but I'm still missing a few states, and I'll get an update so we can do an updated book. And then in the last about 100 pages of the book, about 90 pages, I started first with this study that just came out from Finland that I posted a while back, and this is a longitudinal study looking at the outcomes for children who were in abused homes and the outcomes for being in foster placement versus staying within the home and having a rehabilitated home. It's a very important article.
Yeah.
And then there are a series of other things I have. I actually did this little
I believe it's chocolate, vanilla, strawberry.
I did a little table
I
of
love
contents
that
here in
picture.
the front. Thank you. And I put here our stories, study on outcomes in the news, class action lawsuits, jury awards, and op-eds and editorials. Because
amazing.
Because
That is a great reference.
when I went to the ABA conference in April, and that's where I was able to hear some of these really good professionals, such as Diane Redley, Vivek Sakaran, John Kelly. Some of these people talk about from their professional perspective of what they're trying to do. So some of their stories that they're putting out there, I'm on a list for that. And then when I went through, I'd ask you all to do one page. Of course, everybody didn't do one page, but to the extent I could get everybody in there, I tried.
And I still owe you mine.
Yeah, and some of you still don't have them. But wherever there was, so just so that you kind of know the work that I put into this, and people wrote me stories on some strange paper, man. I don't know where they got this paper. I mean, some of it was like thick paper, some
Nope,
like
everyone.
crumpled paper.
Strange paper, she'll talk.
Yeah.
You'll get
Anybody who used strange paper.
Only
But
to
you know
Connie,
what?
though.
I said during my lives, I don't care what you write it on.
Yep.
You've got a
You
piece of
did say
paper.
that.
You've got a piece
Write
of
it up
paper
in
in the house somewhere. So write it down. And so sure enough, I got some odd
Do whatever
shaped
it
pages.
takes.
So I went through, I recopied all those pages on really nice white paper. I put the state in the corner. After I got everything scanned in on a high DPI, for you tech people, that means
Yep.
dots per whatever. So I did a real high DPI scan, and then I page numbered them. So we would have all the page numbers, and then I just footnoted them on the bottom saying that it was just created by Family Forward Project in case anybody took a letter out, they would know where it came from. So on all the pages where I had space, then I would type, I had to scan through all those pages, and I would add some stop forced adoptions.
Just in case.
Our kids are not for sale. So
She used the space wisely.
yeah, stop separating
Always
American
use your space.
families, defund ASFA. And I did it in different type styles just so it would catch him off guard. And
A lot of work.
yes, it was
It's
a
a
lot
of work, and it's a very valuable asset for so many.
Stop separating American families. So I went through all those pages. So it is really awesome. It's really awesome. So I have that, and they're very, very heavy. I brought like 5 with me, but 311 pages. Well, it's 156 pages. Weighs a lot to lug around. I know several people have asked about them. The one thing I'm looking at is getting a print and bind. And I think I'm going to be able to do that. I think it's going to be worth the investment because I think we are going to want to lay these on the desk of every senator.
We do.
Every senator.
That
So
means I need to get you a better copy then.
yeah, and that means I may do a little bit of fundraising for that. So
I don't know a good printer.
well, there's print and bind places on the internet. So I think probably they're going to be the best price. because it's quite an investment. Okay, so that's what we're working on, and that's what we're doing. And thank you all for paying attention and watching. And I know a lot of people watch it, never comment. I know a lot of people aren't in all different aspects of their case. We've gotten tons of new members. I'm going to put this out there to some new members. Number one, Family Forward Project is a public page. It is a public page, a public page, a public page. It will never be a private group. It will never be a private group. It will never be a private group. Okay, did you hear that?
3 times.
Just in case.
Don't anybody say, why is this a public group? Okay, because it is a public group. I love it when you tell your stories, but you are at risk because it is a public group.
Yes.
So I love it when you tell your stories, tell what happened. Most members are respectful, try to give you encouragement, try to give you some advice, try to give you some pointers if they've had that. A lot of them are not attorneys, but they've just had some experience they try to help you with. Occasionally I can make a note. I can't always. I work full-time as an attorney in private practice. Secondly, our story is child welfare reform. We are not specifically a autism group or vaccine group or child support group or shared parenting group specifically. However, some of those issues we know affects what we do, and we are respectful of the people who have and are working for those issues. There's a lot of things I have strong beliefs about that I can only devote my time and energy to a certain limited amount of things. So third is I do a lot. We've got a lot of new members. I see a lot of new members post like, we need to have some events and rallies. Okay, so
Good idea.
all new members.
They can champion that right on up.
We have events and rallies
we have
and do things and do it. Just get right in. This is DC. This is September. I mean, I have been to about 10 or 12 states and had rallies. We have California coming up October 4th, October 5th, Alabama. I really want Georgia to do something. I know there's a lot of people starting to lift their heads in Georgia. That's so close to Tennessee. That's something very easy. I've been to North Carolina, Connecticut, Washington State, Florida, Iowa, Kansas, okay. I have several Family Forward Project groups set up for the states, but not all states. So, new members, you want to first of all get yourself together to be able to come to DC, learn how to come to DC. Next time we do a DC meeting, and then rally up your state, get your state going, or 1 or 2 states. I have kind of set up different regions through the Family Forward Foundation. You can see on the Family Forward Foundation website, I set up 6 regions to try to combine states, but just get your state going. Just get a handful of people, just a small army. That's all it takes.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, a lot of people. I'd like to share my story. I know you would. Write your story. Get your story to me. There'll be a follow-up book. Okay, so blah, 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 blah. Sorry about all that.
So I'm just going to go ahead and sign off then.